Hey guys, Justin here from Game Time Edits, giving you the tips, tricks and hints to help you pump up the quality of your content creation. In this video, it's less about video editing and more about video capturing. It is no secret in the online video game streaming world that clients like OBS and Streamlabs are the go-to when it comes to creating content. But these industry standard programs are not only for streamers, they're also for people like you and me who record our content. These video game capturing softwares are hardware intensive encoders, meaning if you're playing your games and recording on PC, then both programs are fighting with the limitations of your system. If you're playing and recording from a console, then your PC becomes a living encoder dedicated to capturing your vision. I'm going to show you the settings that I use with OBS to help capture my video game content, and why each individual setting is important for the end result. I cannot stress enough that this comes down to the hardware limitations of your PC, so please take these settings and trial and error to see if it works for you. If you haven't done so already, head over to the OBS Studio's website and grab yourself a free copy. Once installed, you can run OBS through the Auto Configuration Wizard for a quick and easy setup. This can also be found in the Tools drop-down menu for future use. It is important to understand what settings have automatically taken place and how we can manually adjust them if need be. Go ahead and click on Settings and select the Output tab. Change the output mode to Advanced and click on the Recording tab. For this tutorial, we are going to bypass your streaming settings, as our intent is to create media to bring into our editing software. From top to bottom, let's deep dive into what these settings are and what they mean for you when recording. It's important to know that all these settings can be modified to meet the hardware of your system. If you're experiencing audio dropouts, black frames, or any other visual or audio-based anomalies in your recordings, jump into these settings and modify them a little bit. Trial and error to find what works best for you. A game like Baldur's Gate 2 has less movement in it, so older systems are able to record it relatively fine. A game like Overwatch is fast-paced with action flying left, right and centre, meaning there is a great deal more information to process within a frame, and in turn requires more firepower from your system. The first setting is Type, and here we'll keep it on standard. Custom Output FFmpeg opens your recordings up to a world of opportunities, allowing you to record higher quality formats like ProRes at the cost of larger file sizes and hardware resources. For your standard social media and YouTube edits, we can keep this on standard. Set your recording path to a desired location. I highly recommend grabbing yourself a storage disk, either internal or external, and using that to record to independently. Generate file name without spaces will remove spaces in your recording file names, which can be modified in the Advanced tab under File Name Formatting. Recording format gives us a variety of file types or containers. The two worth noting here are the .mp4 and the .mov file types. Both of them work in the current versions of Premiere Pro, Sony Vegas and DaVinci Resolve. .mov will even record an alpha channel, so you can utilise a transparent background in your edits. But it is important to note that both formats are not crash-proof next to their .flv and .mkv counterparts, meaning if OBS was to crash, you would lose your current recording. For those recording in .mkv or .flv, you can select multiple audio tracks, giving you the option to separate your game audio, microphone, and any other audio inputs within the recorded file. In our project, this will be represented in multiple audio tracks that can be soloed for better monitoring. Under Encoder Settings, there will be possibly two drop-downs to make note of. X264 is a CPU-heavy encoder that turns your raw recordings into a digital format, ready to take into the edit. By selecting X264, you will enable extra options to either add or remove encoding workload on your CPU. Bitrate also plays a part here, but we'll get to that in a moment. Back in the encoder settings, NVIDIA card users will see the NVIDIA NVEC H.264 option, which more or less pawns the encoding work off to your graphics card rather than your CPU. If you don't see this option, then there is a chance that your card does not support NVEC, or you are not using a NVIDIA card. There has been many claims that one encoder option produces a better result over the other, but realistically, it comes down to hardware capability. Rescale Output should always remain unchecked unless you intend on recording to a lower resolution under the standard 1920 by 1080. This plays a large role when using the scale feature. The larger the resolution, the more we can punch in on our image before we start noticing a drastic drop in quality or pixelation. Bitrate can make or break your recordings. The two notable drop-downs in rate control is CBR and VBR, constant bitrate or variable bitrate. Bitrate refers to the number of bits being processed in your recordings over a given amount of time. CBR keeps the encoding rate at a set amount, whereas VBR allows it to fluctuate, allocating more bits to complex frames of the recording and less to simpler ones, to a degree. Again, there are many people in favour of one over the other. I like to use VBR with 15,000 kilobits per second as my bitrate and 16,000 kilobits per second as my maximum bitrate, as per YouTube specifications for high dynamic 1080 recordings at 60 frames per second. Keyframe intervals should always be set to 2, forcing your recordings to produce a full interframe every 2 seconds, which will affect the amount of noticeable compression in your images or minor drop in quality over a 120 frame period. Preset set to max quality and profile set to high for the best results. With max B-frame set to 2, you don't need to check the look ahead box, as it has been known to struggle with high motion games by other OBS users. Definitely give psycho-visual tuning a test on your own. The design behind this setting is to allow the encoder to sacrifice lesser important parts of an image in order to enhance others, improving the quality of things in your images that the human mind is more likely to focus on, rather than the background or other things near off-frame. In the Video tab, you do have the option of scaling down your recorded resolution and frame rate if you so wish. In the Downscale Filter, the Lanczos 36 sample setting keeps the result of the downscale looking sharper, with motion in the picture remaining smooth and less pixelated, better used during recording. Bilinear is better for streamers on lower systems, but will make the image look a great deal blurrier. And finally, in the Advanced tab, the Process Priority drop-down should always be set to high if your system can handle it. This takes away processing power from your game and delegates it back into your OBS encoder, so a little trial and error is required here. As I mentioned at the start of the video, test and change these settings to meet your hardware limitations. Create a new scene. Add a source for your primary PC gaming monitor or capture card if you're recording from a console, and give these settings a real hot go. For questions or additional information, drop us a line in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Game Time Edits.